everyone. Thank you for watching. Today we have Dr. Andre Hines from Chiropractic Injury Clinics. Dr. Hines, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Hello, my name is Dr. Andre. That's what everybody call me. I am what people call a biohacking chiropractor, which is I love using technology to enhance on the human experience. A lot of chiropractors have certain focuses such as, injuries or wellness or something like that. We kind of take it all and put it together and we make it make sense. So we work with a lot of MDs, we work with nurses, and we try to bridge the gap and kind of do what like a lot of the other doctors do in other countries, which is they have multiple individuals with different specialties looking at the same person. And then they create a treatment plan that actually is completely patient-centered.
So what got you into the industry?
Wow. So what got me into chiropractic was a gentleman who was headed to chiropractic school that actually told me I was not smart enough to go to chiropractic. And I started, 2003, and I started looking up chiropractors and what they did. I was like, that sounds fun. So I literally went off of sheer dare. I never had like any experience. I'd never been adjusted. And within, I think maybe 6 months of me being in school, my mom died of a complication from the medication she was on from her medical doctor at 46 years old. So I took off almost 2 months of school. And then when I came back, I had so many teachers and faculty that was engaged in trying to help me finish, because they would say, well, everybody kept saying, don't quit now, you just started. And there was a professor by the name of Dr. Bassano from New York. And he came up to me in the comments. I was in the common area. Everyone else was in class. And this was in California. So I was sitting there crying, because I just, every time you had to go through the gross anatomy, the cadaver classes with dead bodies on the table and dissect them. And I remember debating on whether or not I was going to go into the class or I was going to quit, because I had to still do this. This was a major part of your grade. And then Dr. Bassano came up to me and said, I'm sorry, I heard about what happened. But he said it very rough because he's from New York. He said, I hear about what happened to your mom, but at this point, you can't help your mom. But you can help other people's moms. And then he walks off, and I was like, man, this is the most insensitive person I ever met in my life. He just, but then it clicked. You get a chance to recharge the battery of another human being. It's more than just the pain, because all the pain starts in the brain.
So what would you say is the worst part about working in chiropractic?
I think the worst part is the public, I ain't gonna say public perception, because I don't know what every 400 million person actually think about chiropractic. But I think what it is the public perception is that chiropractors are quacks. And because you're doing something different than what their mainstream doctors are doing. So often I wonder what would have happened if everything was in reverse. If chiropractors came first, which in reality it did, but it wasn't. We didn't do a good job at marketing ourselves, because there are some chiropractors who are quacks. Like and when I mean quack, I mean that they're so out there that what you're coming in for, you're not ready for that yet. It is true that you can affect meridians and things of that nature. Yes, that's true. But as a patient, I got neck pain. I'm not necessarily coming in to hear about how you can help my meridians. I'm really here to help my neck pain. So what happens is there's a paradigm shift that happens in so many offices. Well, in American culture, we don't necessarily have the same amount of exposure to all the different elements of the healing spectrum. We only have it from like an allopathic model, and the allopathic model teaches in a very mechanistic type of way. So we get trained mentally that like, oh yeah, your brain is going to send pain, and you have this pain. So if you have pain for a long time, let's fix the problem. Very like a mechanic would do.
Okay.
So that's I think that now that's quacks in medical, and I've lost a lot of people in our family from abnormal reactions to prescription drugs and medications, botched surgeries, botched transfusions, infection in the
Mm,
hospital. I've lost a lot of people.
yeah.
But does that mean that all medical doctors are quacks? No. But when I grew up in the projects, a kid threw a mirror across the playground, and
Wow.
the mirror hits me right above my knee, cuts my quadricep tendon. I was 8 years old, cut my quadricep tendon completely in half. I stayed on the ground for 2 hours because in the projects, the ambulance they didn't come to the projects.
Oh.
So a police officer comes in and wraps my leg with some gauze and takes me to the hospital. So that's why I have different experiences with police officers. I have
Hmm.
different experiences with everything. So everything that we do in life is based on our experiences.
It's almost like there's the natural and then there's the mechanical kind of elements of medicine that you deal with.
Crazy part about it is that they're not separate. And I
Mm,
think in our country we think they're separate because you have a mechanical body that moves. We know this,
hmm.
but there's something that inside of us, uh, like in the Arabic word they talk about, they use a word like nafsi or like like that, or
Hmm.
your nur, like your light, that soul. In medicine, we working on that mechanical portion, and chiropractic working on the mechanical portion also. But there is a
Hmm.
deep spiritual connection that
Wow.
is what's controlling. Because like if you look at a dead body and a living body, a person could just die. You cannot really tell the difference other than the fact that one is not breathing.
Hmm.
But you know that the light is not there.
Hmm. So which demographic would you say is the hardest to connect with? Which, I guess, age demographic would you say is the hardest to connect with, and why do you think they are?
I think it's definitely two different demographics. One, I think we call it the millennials. Like my
Okay.
generation, I still consider millennial.
Hmm.
Believe it or not, I'm actually still a millennial. I barely made it. I think so. Our
Uh-huh.
generation, everything's about fast, fast, fast,
Hmm.
and so and then there's another generation of people who may have heard something that heard something. We call it the I don't know generation because they say, oh, I don't believe in chiropractic. And you ask them why not? They're going to say, I don't know.
Mm.
And so that's the worst when you make decisions with no information. There's a lot of people who do that and they don't really know what chiropractic. In the older generation, some people make it past like 60,
Mhm.
they switch a different mode. I'm not going to say all, which is we all going to die someday. I'm going to die anyway. I don't want to live that. Now I've talked to people who are
Right.
85 years old who still walking on the trail. Like I can show you this trail right here. You'll see people in their 70s and 80s still walking because they want to be around.
Mhm.
But there's some people they say I don't want to live to 100 years old. Like because the
Wow.
idea of aging is like
Wow.
I don't want to have somebody help me to the bathroom. I don't want to
Oh.
be on a walker and wheelchair. It's a portion of the baby boomers and it's a
Mhm.
portion of the millennials.
Interesting. So
It's kind of
so Dan Kennedy is a strategic marketing coach, and he says that businesses struggle in only a few areas. He says it's either money, time, people, or passion. So in chiropractic, which would you say is the biggest struggle and why?
time and money,
Time
time
and
and
money.
money,
Okay, why?
because a lot of chiropractors filled with passion, but they
Hmm.
don't really teach us in chiropractic school like the healthcare business.
Outside of work, how would your family and friends describe you?
Rain Man as Rain Man because I haven't watched TV in almost 7 years. We don't own a TV, so I do a lot of reading and I do watch
Okay.
documentaries. So I do I do that on my computer. So I guess that's kind of like watching TV, but I am a junkie when it comes to like documentaries and stuff like that. So I like talking about the world and what we see and experience, and I'm considered a hippie to some of my friends, so they want me to engage in conversations about Facebook and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's kind of boring to me, so I like talking about you know, hey, do you notice the sky how different it looks than it was when we was a kid? So whatever it is, I
Hmm.
think that like even my wife, she always says, "Hey, look, we about to go to this meeting. Just so you know, we only got 15 minutes. So please, please, please don't start talking." And I would get like these tiny nut. Oh, we got to go because I like to talk because
Hmm.
people don't like to talk anymore. I'm the
Hmm.
person that will actually call you on the phone, and I'll get mad if you don't answer. like I get so like distraught when when people tell me about videos of people that record somebody in trouble, and
And they
then
just
but they won't
record it.
and they won't put their phone down, and they say somebody call 911. It's easy for them
Mm,
like to stop the video and call 911. But it's just what I realize is that that's become acceptable because
mm,
everyone's about the grind and everyone's about doing me and stay in your lane. And I don't really know many successful people who did it truly 100% by themselves.
mm-mm. So
I don't really know any.
what are you passionate about? What gets you up in the morning?
This life, like I don't sleep a lot. A lot of people probably think I'm on drugs, but I probably sleep 3 hours. I know people say you should supposed to sleep 8 hours and all this type of stuff, I can't tell you any truly like inspired people that's inspired by leaving legacy who sleep a lot.
Yeah.
And
What would you say is your long-term goal? Like you've done all this, you're successful, you have a family, you have multiple practice locations. What's next? What's your long-term goal?
to die tired
Mm,
because sometimes I feel like because if I go to bed and I'm not tired, I feel like I wasted the day.
mm-hmm.
Like I don't feel like I did enough.
Yeah.
Like my son is 4 years old, and one day he was like, "Daddy, I want to be a chiropractor," and I was just so perplexed. I'm like, I don't, all the things he sees, like he has these books with fireman and stuff like that. We don't give him materials about chiropractor, but he say, "I want to be a chiropractor." And then my wife said, "Well, what does a chiropractor do?" And he says, "Paint, paint."
Mm,
And then I go back and I realize my son is on. He's when he's in the office, he's usually watching me painting. A lot of people say, if your kid was to grow up and be the same thing with you, would you want them? Like there's some people say, I wouldn't want my son to play football. I
mm-hmm.
wouldn't want my son to
Yeah.
be an actor. I wouldn't want my son or daughter to be. Obviously, you want your kid to be whatever they can be, not what they can be, but whatever they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But if my son decided to become a chiropractor, I want to make sure that when I leave, I've left chiropractic better than when it
Better.
was.
Yeah. I feel like it was such a beautiful interview because it really, it isn't something that you can condense into a 20-minute office visit. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
thank you so
and
much
I
for
appreciate it.
interviewing with me
Well,
today.
most of the time I have to calm myself down. So I actually have my team to help me with my exams because I will end up talking to patients 2 or 3 hours because
Mm,
when somebody telling you was sharing pain, right?
mm-hmm.
The it obviously we know that the pain is coming from the brain. So now what I'm trying to find out is what are they thinking about this pain,
Mm,
and what are they thinking this pain is going to be able to is going to stop them from doing. Like every patient story, now I can use that same story to relate to another patient. And so
mm-hmm.
every patient actually, the doctor's not necessarily helping the patient. The patient's really helping themselves. The doctor's a
Themselves. Wow.
facilitator.
Wow.
The patient actually does more to help another patient than
Wow.
they do the doctor can help a patient. I know it sounds weird because when a
Yeah. I
patient tell you
know.
something, the doctor is learning too. Even though we learn all this stuff in school, but you can see like there may be some, like the reason that you would do a treatment over and over again is because you're seeing a result from it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
result is coming from the patient's doing better. So if the patient is actually doing better and you use a treatment, like you know what, I'm gonna try this technique on you. And if I try the technique on you and you have a massive migraine and it helps your migraine go away. Next patient comes in with a migraine and you trying your traditional treatment is not working, you're going to remember the story or the case that you had, that you
Mm-hmm.
did this different treatment. As you said, that patient helped the other patient. Because if that patient
Mm.
had a negative response or a negative feedback to their treatment, you probably want to do it on a new patient. But because they had a positive uh, experience with that, then you would do that treatment on another patient. And then so that patient is actually helping other
Other
patients.
patients. Wow. It seems like you really understand the art of chiropractic, which is beautiful. Where can viewers find you? Like, where can they learn about you?
I'm on LinkedIn as Dr. Andre Hines. I'm on Instagram
Instagram.
as Dr. Dre, the chiropractor,
Okay.
and also our website, chiropractic injury clinics with an S.com.
Okay. So, Chiropractic Injury Clinics of America. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview.
No problem.